It all started with boredom. No, maybe that's not the right word. More like curiosity, the kind that creeps in late at night when you've seen all there is to see on the surface web. I was no stranger to the dark web, but I never went too deep. I stuck to the safe side. Forums, conspiracy threads, hidden subcultures. But this night something was different. The usual haunts felt dull. I wanted to find something new, something that would stick with me, that would scare me. I remember the forum thread vividly. For those seeking the truth, the code sees all. It didn't make sense. I clicked the link, expecting another hoax or a hidden page full of gibberish. Instead, I was redirected to a plain black screen with a single line of text blinking at the top. Enter the code to begin. I should have clicked out. I should have listened to that nagging feeling in my gut that told me this was different, dangerous even. But I didn't. I thought it was some sort of puzzle, maybe an elaborate ARG or some hacker's idea of fun. So I typed in a random series of numbers, 1234. Nothing. I typed again, this time the date of my birth. Still nothing. Hours passed as I tried combinations, personal numbers, historical dates, cryptic phrases. Each time, the screen would flash red for a second, signaling I'd gotten it wrong. But then something changed. I don't know what I typed. My fingers moved on autopilot, maybe a mix of numbers and letters from my subconscious. But the screen flashed green, and the page began to load. I didn't know it then, but that's when everything shifted. That's when I let them in. The gateway to darkness. The site that opened up was like nothing I'd ever seen before. No typical layout, no menus, just rows of distorted images and symbols. It felt ancient, like I'd unlocked something long forgotten. My screen filled with lines of cryptic code, flashing at lightning speed. And then, out of nowhere, a new line appeared at the bottom. Do you want to see the truth? I stared at it, feeling a deep, primal sense of fear rise within me. My finger hovered over the mouse. Every fiber of my being told me to close the tab, shut down the computer, and forget this ever happened. But, like an idiot, I clicked yes. The screen flickered and a video feed began to play. At first it was grainy and indistinct, but then the image sharpened. It was a live feed of someone's living room. I didn't recognize the place. It was a nondescript space, plain furniture, muted lighting, but something was off. It felt too quiet. And then I saw her, a woman sitting in a chair, staring directly into the camera. Her eyes were wide, unblinking. There was something deeply unsettling about her expression, like she was aware of me watching her. Suddenly, a message popped up on the screen. "She can see you." I panicked, slamming my laptop shut. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, but it was too late. That strange, unnerving feeling had already settled in. Something wasn't right, and I wasn't alone anymore. The visitors. Over the next few days, I tried to shake it off. I told myself it was just a creepy website, a prank designed to mess with people like me. But every time I opened my computer, no matter what site I visited, I'd see flashes of those eyes, the woman from the video. At first it was brief, just a second or two. But then the images stayed longer, lingering in the corner of the screen, and then it escalated. I started getting messages, emails with no sender filled with lines of code I didn't understand. My phone would buzz with notifications, but when I checked, there was nothing there. One night, I woke up to my computer screen flickering on its own. I hadn't touched it in hours, but there it was, another live feed. This time it was my apartment. I froze. I could see myself lying in bed, the camera watching from the corner of the room. My breath caught in my throat, and for the first time in years, I felt true terror. The messages became more direct. "We see you. You've been chosen. The code is everywhere." I began hearing whispers in my apartment, faint, disembodied voices speaking in some garbled language. At first I thought it was just my imagination, but then the shadows started moving. I'd catch glimpses of figures standing in doorways, lurking in corners, watching me from the darkness. They were always there, just out of sight, just out of reach. I couldn't escape it. The code had infected everything, my phone, my TV, even my dreams. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, heart racing, convinced that someone was standing over me, watching, waiting. Descent into madness. The more I tried to ignore it, the worse it got. My friends noticed something was wrong. I stopped going to work, stopped responding to messages. I couldn't focus on anything but the feeling of being watched. And the worst part? No matter how much I tried to delete it, to disconnect, the code kept coming back. I'd wipe my hard drive, change my passwords, even buy new devices, but it didn't matter. The eyes were always there, watching. I became a prisoner in my own home. I stopped leaving the apartment altogether. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. All I could do was sit in front of my computer, staring at the endless lines of code, trying to find a way out. But there was no way out. I was in too deep. And then, one night, they came. I was sitting in the dark, my laptop screen casting a faint glow across the room. The whispers had grown louder, the shadows more aggressive. I could feel them closing in. And then, my screen flickered. A new message appeared. "We're here." I didn't even have time to react before my door swung open, and they stepped inside. The final revelation. They were human, or at least they looked human. But there was something off about them. Something in the way they moved. The way they looked at me with those cold, empty eyes. They didn't speak. They didn't have to. I knew why they were there. I'd been chosen. The code had marked me, and now I was part of it. They didn't need to drag me away. I stood up and followed them willingly, out into the night, into the unknown. I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know if I ever left that apartment, or if I'm still trapped inside, a prisoner of the code. All I know is that the eyes are still watching, still waiting, and now, so am I.